If you're going to discriminate against me, make sure you can do your job without me, first. Once upon a time, I worked for a health center in their billing department. I'd been there for quite some time already, and knew the office inside and out. Staff turnover had actually been rather rare. But, when the office manager decided to retire, things swiftly changed. At first, we got a brilliant ray of sunshine as our new office manager. She really changed the office, modernized how we did things, and helped establish us as a stellar place to work. I'd never been happier. But, good things can't last forever. She was a star, and was offered a much better job at another health facility for a lot better pay and benefits. We literally cried when she left, we had adored her so much. Before I go any further, there's a few things I need to add in. Details, Yano. I have a mental illness called schizoaffective disorder. It's the depressive type. I actively have auditory hallucinations and frequent bouts of serious depression. But, I've had it for decades now, and it's well controlled with medication and cognitive therapy. One of the things that office manager did for me was to make sure I had a number of accommodations set up. One of them was the use of a special task-oriented website, and the other was to be allowed to listen to a noise generator website. Both of these were vital in helping me maintain concentration and get my work done efficiently and correctly. About a week after the new, and now old, office manager left for her new job, we got Karen. I know the term is overused, but my God, stereotypes exist for a reason, and the reason was this lady. Karen immediately set about making her mark on the department. All the goodwill we had built with our previous supervisor was out the window in short order. She immediately tightened restrictions on the office. Silence was in order. We were not allowed to speak unless on the phones or talking to a patient at the front counter. She even sent an email telling me if I had to blow my nose, I had to get up and go to the bathroom to do it. She also had a devil of a time figuring out how to do reports in our billing software. As I had been there forever, I was tasked with showing her how to do things. It was an exercise in patience and teeth grinding. And futility. She absolutely couldn't figure it out. I tried everything to teach her. Printed things out, highlighted things, added things up and showed her the tape, marked reports with arrows. Nope. She wasn't getting it. And she blamed me for it. So began what I can only describe as a 2-year terror campaign on her part to punish me. She forced me to move from the desk I'd been sitting at for over a decade. Reminder, I'm schizoaffective, moves like that can easily cause chaos in my brain for months until I settle. Just thinking about it makes my heart start to race, it was awful. My new seat was now right by the door to her office, and in sight of everyone in the office. My paranoia was at an all-time high. She then began having IT track all my internet traffic. If I checked the weather on a day we were supposed to get snow, she had me in her office asking me what I was doing on non-work related sites. Any site I visited that actually was work-related got questioned. She made sure I knew she was watching me and everything I did. This included the 2 websites I was using as accommodations. I explained how I used them and why, and she was not having it. She went to HR and explained the sites I used were unprofessional. HR decided to side with her, and told me they were removing them, and asked me to find a more professional way to do things. Then comes the clincher from Karen. She looks me dead in the eyes and says, if you're too sick to work here, then maybe you shouldn't work here. And that was it. I knew what she was doing was discriminatory, and HR wasn't going to do anything to protect me. So, that's when I decided I was going to get a new job, and make sure she crashed and burned on my way out. I collected everything. All her nastygram emails she'd sent out over the years. All her sticky notes. I kept copies of spreadsheets and other things showing she was absolutely incapable of doing the job without assistance. My assistance, mind you. I was doing 80% of her job for her. These I assembled in a binder, complete with date and timestamps and explanations I typed up and printed off as covers to each incident. The binder was so thick I ended up having to start a second one. As I did this, I applied for another job at a nonprofit. They interviewed me, and the HR lady asked for permission to speak to my current supervisor. I hesitated, and then explained why I'd okay it, but to expect her to attempt to tank me. And boy, did she. I could hear the condescending tone of her voice through the door to her office, even if I couldn't quite make out what she was saying. And I knew she was talking to the potential new job's HR lady. HR lady called me after and asked if I was still in contact with my previous supervisor. The one I adored. I was. We were friends on Facebook, and as soon as I contacted her there, she was glad to help me out by speaking to this potential new job's HR. They offered me the job the next day. I cannot tell you how satisfying it was to walk into Karen's office and give my 2 weeks' notice. Her face just fell. She'd been defeated, and man, it was a sour taste in her mouth that she couldn't contain. Because for all her bluster that she wanted me to quit, in reality she didn't really want me gone. She knew she couldn't do her job without me. And now that very reality was staring her in the face. Those last 2 weeks were grand. I blew my nose in the office. Checked the weather whenever I pleased. And I stopped doing her work. Just mine, which I made sure was 100 odd up before I walked out the door. She was stressed and struggling, and asking me to do things for her before I left. I said sure, and tossed whatever it was into a drawer I didn't touch for the remainder of my time there. Of course, on my last day, I had my exit interview. I didn't stay long. I just informed them they had a very incompetent manager on their hands, gave them the 2 binders of dirt I'd collected, and reminded them that people don't quit jobs. They quit bad management and poor HR decisions. Coworkers in the office kept me abreast of developments after I left for my new job. She lasted less than a month after my resignation. There'd even been a huge blow-up in the middle of the office between one of the HR folks and Karen over her incompetence. Since I wasn't there anymore to clean up after her, financials were a mess, and they were in the red for hundreds of thousands of dollars that were unaccounted for. All because Karen couldn't figure out how to do her job, and she'd been there for over 2 years at that point. It's been a few years now, and I'm still super happy at my new job. And from what I hear, she's now working in an office of a dinky little place where she's in charge of absolutely no one for a fraction of the salary she was getting previously. As it should be.